Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Nigeria is building for the future, from vast developments in Lagos to cutting-edge design in Calabar, for business, tourism, and sport. Welcome to Nigeria. Welcome to Inside Africa. On this week's program, a new city for Nigeria, reshaping, reclaiming Lagos. A nest for the Super Eagles. We visit Uyo's new stadium on its debut, and the exciting new structure rising on Calabar's riverbank. There's a lot going on and up here in Lagos right now. From the tallest building on Victoria Island so far, to one of the largest purpose-built churches in the whole of Africa, to David Adje's new concept store nearing completion here in the city center. And then there's this. An entire new area of Lagos rising from the Atlantic Ocean. Apartments for 250,000 people, workspace for 400,000. CNN first visited the Eko Atlantic project in 2009. That was soon after they'd started to reclaim the land from the sea. Now they're building. Hello, Mr. Frem.
Hi, Sunny.
And we've come back to see how close they are to realizing their vision. The managing director of the Eko Atlantic project says it began partly as a way of protecting Lagos from flooding.
The original coastline in 1910 was actually here. All this land, which is in some parts more than 2.5 kilometers deep, has been lost to erosion over approximately 100 years.
And that's what you're reclaiming?
We're reclaiming all that land and building a very robust seawall along the southern edge in order to protect Eko Atlantic, but in turn, to meet the request of the Lagos State Governor, to protect Victoria Island, which, if we go back to 2005, was under very real threat of being devastated by coastal surge.
They've reclaimed land to just over halfway along this map and started building on the western end nearest to us as we look at it. One of David Frem's colleagues uses an augmented reality app to bring the plan to life. What do we have here, Vianney?
Well, basically, I'm trying to show you the reality of what we're trying to build on the Marina District of the Eko Atlantic City. We have so far started on with this side of things. It's in the vein of the Marina District. It's super luxury. It's basically setting a lifestyle which Nigerians are used to, and most of the people in diaspora keep asking the question, I want to come back home, but to where and to what? So we've done a lot of studies and discovered that, yes, most people want to come home, to settle back at home, most professionals, but there's a gap between what they're used to externally and what there is presently on offer.
So how far have they got? What's actually happening on site? Time to see for ourselves. They've reclaimed just over 5 square kilometers of land. First, they sucked up the sand from the seabed 25 kilometers offshore, an area that has the right grade of sand which compacts well. Then, they pumped it behind the seawall. This is one of your bridges? The first thing we came across was a concrete bridge, one of 10 that will span the canal network here. So, how do you support huge loads such as this on reclaimed sand?
Basically, there's no major difference. The bridges here are all on piled foundations. We have 10 structures plus 2 underpasses that we're constructing, and they're all on piled foundations. So all you have to do is take the foundations down onto sound ground.
And it's not just bridges. This main road, one of the features of Eko Atlantic, should be completed by the middle of next year. This, to me, doesn't look far from a complete road.
Yes, we're very close to completing our first section of the Central Boulevard, which we call Eko Boulevard, in the Central Business District. So this entire carriageway, if you take to the extremes of the footpaths, is 60 meters wide. It's the equivalent of Fifth Avenue in New York in terms of width and almost exactly the same length. So this is where the financial institutions who established their headquarters, and the goal is to establish Lagos as the financial hub and commercial hub of the continent of Africa.
Eko Atlantic have a concession from the government both to develop this land and to operate it. They'll have their own power supply from natural gas, their own water system, and their own sewage treatment works, all protected by this. We've now come right to the southern edge of the project, and from here I can hear the deep sound of the Atlantic Ocean. And if I climb up here, you can see the massive extent of this wall. In the end, it's going to be 8,500 meters long. And so far, they built 4,700 meters of it. In total, they estimate they'll use 8 million tons of rock.
But there's a further stage to go just yet. We continue this layer of rock to approximately here. And then on top of that layer, we cast a solid concrete wall, which is called a wave wall, that runs the entire length. Once that is cast, we continue with the rock and the aquapods sloping upwards, so we reach a final crest level of 8.5 meters above sea level. And that is the final structure of the seawall.
From here, you can clearly see the progress. That's the seawall being built, and over there is the land that's already been reclaimed and is being developed. Over the next few years, all this area back to Victoria Island will also be reclaimed and built on. It's been financed by private investment and loans. Now, they are also getting income from deals with partner developers. We could see some of their towers starting to rise out of the ground. Where are we now, Mr. Frame?
Well, we're now on the western boundary of the site, and we're looking across at one of the first developments. And it's actually the most advanced of all the early developments. This is a commercial building. It's the headquarters of an oil and gas company, and it will be, when completed, 15 stories high.
This looks to me like the most complete structure I've seen so far. Is this the first piece of land that was bought?
Yes, in fact it is. It's a strange coincidence, but it's the most developed so far. It will be the first completed. But on the receipt, when the land was purchased, it says 0001, the first piece of land purchased on Eko Atlantic.
So, with people due to be working in offices here by the end of 2015, all the first phase infrastructure finished by then too, and the Marina District following on, that table plan we saw earlier is coming ever closer to reality.
20 years from now, you're going to have a substantial population living in Eko Atlantic. So there's going to be an exciting period over the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Next on Inside Africa, we head southeast to the brand new Nest of Champions.